Chinenye The Destiny Child. This story is set in a time frame of the 1940s. At this time, a woman was raised to be completely submissive to their husbands and to be long-suffering in marriage, irrespective of the circumstances prevailing. Perhaps this explained why Chinenye tolerated this level of unkindness from her husband. My great-grandaunt told me the story. Once upon a time, in Umuogwezi village, there lived a woman named Ebele. She had an only son named Emeka. His mother raised him right, and he was a very polite and kind boy. He was very respectful and made it a habit of helping elderly widows, especially in the village. At the age of 15, Emeka was handed over as an apprentice to a certain man from their village named Akunna. Akunna was a very successful merchant that traded ogbono in Ivory Coast. Emeka was a fast learner and excelled in the years of his apprenticeship. After being with his mentor for 10 years, Akunna settled him by helping him financially to start and establish his own trade, as it is the practice among Igbos. 1 year after he started his own trade, his mother, Ebele, felt he should get married and that the best option was for her to get him a beautiful young lady that embodied the qualities acceptable to her from their village. Amongst the qualities she was looking out for was entrepreneurial skills. One of the top contenders was Chinenye, a very beautiful young lady. Chinenye was known to be a hardworking and respectful girl in the village. A lot of suitors sought her hand in marriage, but her wicked stepmom, Chituru, would not let her get married. Chituru always told the suitors malicious false stories about her, and this always made the suitors change their minds eventually. Ebele was privy to all that had been happening, so when she approached Chinenye's father to ask for his daughter's hand in marriage to her son, even though Chituru came to her to say negative things about her prospective daughter-in-law, she ignored all of it and went ahead, and as it was customary, she gifted a dowry for her hand in marriage. She then informed her son, Emeka, to make out time to come home and get his wife. When Emeka came for his wife, he stayed home for 1 month. However, as soon as he arrived home, Chituru had arranged with her equally wicked and evil friend, Ugodia, to introduce Ugodia's daughter, Mma, to Emeka. Mma was very beautiful, but badly behaved and evil. She had learned her mother's evil ways. Even when she tried being kind to some people, her mother discouraged her, but encouraged her to feel entitled. Her mom had helped in arranging love charms for her from a powerful sorcerer from the neighboring village. This charm was used in capturing Emeka's heart, and she convinced him to take her to Ivory Coast instead of his wife, Chinenye. When Emeka was about leaving, he lied to his mother that he would come back for his wife in another 6 months, as he needed to put some things in order. When he did not come as promised, Ebele was worried, but she still waited for another 6 months. One day, while she was in her stall in the market, she saw Chituru and her friend Uwodia jubilating, and on further inquiry, she heard that Mma just had a baby boy for Emeka, her own son, in Ivory Coast. This was a rude shock for her, but she quickly recovered and took Chinenye to Ivory Coast to hand over to Emeka. Chinenye's stay with Emeka was a very traumatic one, as Mma was totally in charge of their husband, Emeka. Emeka would not even have any sexual relations with her without the permission of Mma. Chinenye eventually had 2 children for Emeka and was about 6 weeks pregnant with a 3rd child when Emeka suddenly decided to take her and her 2 children back to his mother in Nigeria. She continued living with her mother-in-law and she put to bed, but Emeka's mother decided to keep the information away from her son, as she was angry with him. Chinenye got involved in petty trading in the market to take care of her children. 7 years later, Emeka came to visit his mother, and when he saw the now 7-year-old Isioma, he was surprised, as she was a replica of him. When returning to Ivory Coast, he insisted on taking her with him. Upon their arrival in Ivory Coast, his wife Mma took it upon herself to make life miserable for the little girl Isioma. Isioma was made to do all the house chores while her 3 older step-siblings were playing, and they were encouraged to be cruel to her. Though Isioma was allowed to go to school, life for her at home was very unkind, and the only respite she had was when she was at school. She was a very intelligent girl, and even though she was saddled with the responsibility of doing all the household chores, she still made sure she read late into the night. After her high school education, her father, Emeka, allowed her to visit her mom and the rest of the family in Nigeria, and she refused returning back to Ivory Coast. Her mom, Chinenye, was able to sponsor her through the university, and fortune smiled on her 1 year after graduating, as she secured a job with a multinational and relocated to Lagos. Shortly after this, Emeka met his untimely demise, as he was involved in a ghastly motor accident when he went to purchase merchandise for his trade. Unfortunately, at the accident scene, he was robbed of all the money, and this was the bulk of his trading capital. This had a devastating effect on Mma and her 3 children, as none of them had a job. The 3 children did not go beyond high school, and they were too lazy to be involved in their father's trade while he was alive. So, even when they tried continuing the trade afterwards, they could not sustain it beyond 1 year. Uzo, the first son, was a motor park tout and had been in and out of prison, and shortly after he lost his dad, he had entered into a fight, and unfortunately his opponent lost his life. With this, he got a 25-year prison sentence. Mma's 2 daughters were no better, as they both had 1 child each for different motor park touts and were all staying with their mom. This information got to Isioma, and as she is a very kind lady, she decided to place Mma, her stepmom, on a generous monthly allowance to help take care of her and her never do well children. Mma learned her lesson, but it was already too late for her, as her children never brought her any joy in her twilight years. You have heard this story. What do you think Chinenye should have done? Should she have stayed for long in the marriage? Is Mma a victim of her upbringing?